Can you hear me all right, Ulle? I think you're the only one on stream, at least right now. Can you hear me? Yes, very good. And I will show you, this is the other people around. Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Yes. And everyone, welcome. Let's start with just a guided meditation. So you just find a comfortable position. Close your eyes. And whatever meditation techniques you have tried before, you just let them be for now. And in this moment, you just recognize what is here, what is happening in this moment. The state of the body, your emotional state. It can be as simple as how the body feels, how the clothes feels against your body, but also recognize your emotional state. If there is thinking, what comes through the senses. In this moment, you just become aware. Just notice what is here. You don't have to engage in anything, you don't have to quiet your mind. No effort, just look. Just see what is here. Your thoughts might say things, but you have to recognize that there is thinking. This usual engagement in parrying thoughts and all the things that you might be entangled with usually in your day-to-day life, you just, instead of going with that, you just recognize that it's here. Even if you see that there is effort, there's trying to be still, trying to cope with restlessness, trying to cope with just this moment as it is. Whatever it is, you just recognize it. Just try it. Just see what it does. You just allow thoughts to happen. You don't resist them, you don't fight them, you don't try to fix them. You just allow thinking to happen. It's just a relaxation into this moment. To allow this moment to be as it is. If your thoughts starts going and you go with them, you just come back to recognizing that there is thinking. This recognition breaks the habit of the mind, of always going with the thoughts. Most people always go with their thoughts. The recognition of thoughts changes everything. This is the most radical thing you can do, to be aware of thoughts instead of just going with them. It changes your whole perception of what you call reality. It's just this simple alertness, simple awareness of this moment. If you come back to it time and time again, you will start to see the stability in it. You will start to recognize this stillness that is within you. It is as a background to everything. But the most people, they don't recognize this stillness because they're just listening to the mind. This stillness gives you spacious freedom, not the confinement of the mental activity that happens in most people. If you come back to it again and again, just recognizing this moment, recognizing that there is thinking, recognizing the expressions of the body, there will be a sense of slowing down. This is what is usually thought of as the doer. That part in you is relaxing. Everything is slowing down. Perhaps feel more spacious, expansive. From this vantage point, if you come back to it, you will start to recognize that everything, even thoughts, even the thoughts that say I, me, mine, are just phenomena coming and going. They're just things with a transient nature. They come, they stay for a while, and they go. Whatever the mind says about your state, It might say this state is permanent and this is gonna last and you're stuck and blah blah blah. But if you watch it, you notice that everything has a movement. Everything in your experience comes and goes. And at first it seems impossible to observe, perhaps. The mind is so full. There's so much going on, both through the body and the emotions and the mind. And if you are overwhelmed by that, that's usually what motivates this inquiry, what motivates going into just being. And how you approach this will be different for each one of you. Some will find it challenging, others will find it just spacious and free. But the effect that it has on your experience, if you continue and stick with it, is profound. You can gently open your eyes, move your body. Meditation is most difficult in the beginning. We don't have to sugarcoat anything here. That is just how it is. Because when you start, your mind is usually completely overgrown. There's so many thoughts. There's so much to relate to. You're so not used to being with the expressions of the body. With the pain of the body, what it usually triggers you, all those things, you're not used to be with them. You avoid them. And if you had a whole life of avoiding them, the mind is riddled with that. It has all the tendencies of avoidance. It wants to distract itself. It does not want the confrontation of being. I'm just being very frank, because that's what makes many people who start with meditation feel like they hit the wall. Because at first it is a bit scary, because you're looking at yourself from a different perspective. All the things that you wanted to avoid about yourself, that you don't like, you will see them. But this is also the beauty of meditation. Because in this acceptance, in the acceptance of the expressions of the body, the pain of the body, the thought patterns that you have, in the acceptance of that is so much freedom. Because what the body-mind does when it goes unchecked is that it just creates, accumulates mental ideas, a relationship to emotions, which is usually part of the emotions are being suppressed. So you have all these things to relate to. And when you start to sit, and even for people who do not practice meditation, most people hate just to wait. If you would put them in a room for 2 hours with nothing to do, they would say, please stop this torture. That for most people is terrible. Then they're alone only with the thoughts and the expressions of the body. They would suffer so much from that. So what it does, the practice does, the meditation does, is that it changes your view on these things. You go from avoidance to, I want to be with this. This is a very, very beautiful transition. When you find something challenging, you will start to sit with it. Okay, this really triggered me. I want to see what this is. Let it come. And even if sometimes you really bought into it, you identified hard with something someone said, criticized you, or whatever it might be, and maybe the ride is long, maybe 3 days of going with these thoughts. But if you come back to the body, you see what it does. You start to be realistic with it. You understand that being triggered and seeing everything as very personal is so much suffering. Because in most people's mind, they have a really, really nice story. They have a story that says, it's not that bad, or that's just normal, or everyone has that, or everyone is afraid of that, or whatever the thing might be. These stories that in many ways are just collective stories. People tell themselves, and then you just by default believe. This is very much what people do. And in this, just looking at it as it is, it allows for it to be seen. Both thoughts to be seen and emotions to be seen. Everything that has avoidance, if you change that into inviting everything, there is so much space. Feelings just want to be felt. Thoughts just want to be expressed. But they have nothing to do with you. You can see it as learning to swim, going to the ocean. At first, you dip your toes a little bit. You come here, you listen, you hear, you read some things about meditation. maybe you decide, I'm going to go in. I'm going to swim. So you take on this thing and think that you are a person going to meditate now. And you go into the water and you swim. And the longer you stay and the more times you come back, you start to notice something strange. You start to notice that the thing that you think you are seems to be the same as a wave. And the more you swim, the more you recognize that the thing that you see yourself to be is a wave in the ocean. That the turn is not that you become a great swimmer. It is that you become the ocean. You become the background stillness of everything. You can call it awareness, beingness, whatever you like. And the stability of this makes all the difference. I'm not saying that as some philosophical idea. I'm saying it because if you feel called by it, I want you to explore it. Look into what is this life? And you might think, but I came here to just be a bit more calm. And that is fine. That comes with that. With the practice comes calm, for sure. And perhaps that is enough for you. I just want to feel a little bit better. I just want to feel more spacious. I just want to feel more at peace. And you can always practice with that lens. But what I found was at a certain point that there are many nice practices that can make you calmer. But at a certain point you will say, okay, I practice this and it makes me calm. But when I stop practicing, I go back to my old habits of the mind. What is it that creates permanent change? To me, after a certain point, that was all that was interesting. I had tried so many meditation techniques, I had expressed things, I had made the mind calm in different way, I could lower my heart rate, I could control everything. But as soon as I stopped practicing, it felt like the stressful thoughts and the worry comes back. And what is it that makes permanent change? And if you're curious about that, that has to do with identity. That is the strongest factor in this. What you take yourself to be. What you identify as. And if you never heard this, it might be overwhelming or strange to you, but in practice, it's not that strange. It's very, very practical. And the less you identify with the thoughts of I, the more freedom you experience. And when you start to see that correlation, the motivation for it is very, very simple. Everyone wants to be happy, but most of us don't really know what it is. What is it to feel content in this moment? Because many of us mix up happiness with excitement, achievement, all these things. And if you live your life through that, if you have been excited about things for a long time, you notice that it doesn't really satisfy. There's always the next and the next and the next. And also with achievements, even if you had great success, there's not a sense of being satisfied. Buddha called this striving dukkha, the suffering of discontentment. of never having enough. And just like Buddha start to look for the source of it, you will also do that same thing. That is what we explore. What is the source of that sense of duality? The sense that I am not enough. The sense of lack. I know that you all feel it. Otherwise you wouldn't come. But the awareness of this might differ a lot. And your ideas of what would make you happy might differ a lot. So the challenges are also very, very different. And often it seems to the person or the individual that you have proof for that your ideas are gonna bring you the thing that you long for. And this is one of the challenges in meditation, to also be honest with that. What's usually referred to as spiritual bypassing is that you hear about meditation and now your goals are different, but your longing is still the same. Underneath you might long for material things or achievements or whatever it is, but you bypass that and say, they have no place in my life, now I'm only into spirituality. But this is just also something that you have to be honest with. Look, what is your drive? What is it that those things that would, and they might be scary because they might be the things that make you go up in the morning. They may give you a sense of purpose. So it feels super scary to challenge them. These are my goals. This is what I want. This is what everything I'm doing is leading towards. Do you dare to look at those things? Do you dare to question if they really create the happiness that you're looking for and the contentment? I'm always going to be honest with you because these things are not easy for most people. And that's why often when I met people who are terminally ill or on their deathbed, they have an easy time with these things because there is no time anymore. There is no future goals. They can just let go of it. But for young, healthy people, it's scary. What is my motivation? Why do I do the things that I do? What do I want to achieve with that? And to look inside and see these motivations and see where it's heading and what you believe in. And for most people, if you just start to do that, you will start to realize that the promise that your ideas of happiness have might be false. How deep have you looked? Have you talked to people who have achieved what you hope to achieve? Where are they? Can they be honest with you what they feel about it? I saw an interview once with Bono in U2, you know, this singer. And they had these big shows then during this time with 100,000 people. And before he came out on the stage last, they showed some clip. The whole band was there, but he hadn't come out yet. And the audience is just shouting, Bono, Bono, Bono. That's the setup for this interview. And the interviewer says, I just have to ask you, how does it feel when so many people shout your name like that? And Bono just becomes quiet and says, how do you think that person feels who need 100,000 people to shout his name to be all right? That is good insight into what things does and what your motivations are like they are. And he understood that this is not really worth anything. It's worth something to me because I have this crazy idea that I'm not good enough if this doesn't happen. And you can feel those things with external things, with the gratitude you get from people, or they confirm you, or your behavior in certain ways. But at some point, if that goes away, what are you then? Where is the stability in all those external things? There is none. If Bono loses his fame or cannot sing anymore, or for any reason gets sick, then that's gone. Then that safety is gone. And this is just a very extreme case, but most people do the same thing. They have an external comfort and they rely everything on that. What is it that creates internal stability? We have to ask this question. What is it that makes us feel really safe in this moment, just as it is, whatever happens? Is that even possible? I don't know if most people even think that that is a possibility. What creates internal stability? If you look, what happens? If you pose this question, what happens? If it scares you, you're just normal. There is so much peace in being in this moment as it is. It is such a simple string of words, but for most people feels almost impossible to be in acceptance of this moment, of your emotional state, of your thought state, of your state in general, as it is. And you think that it has to do with accepting the content of it. It is not that identified. It's just the whole expression of it. That thoughts are coming, that there is emotions, and they are being felt. What is it to be here? What is the acceptance of it? I give you a clue. It is what you're looking for. The acceptance of the present moment as it is love. It's peace. And it will show that you are the source of that. You don't have to live your life like a beggar anymore, looking for those things. That's what most people do. Just show me appreciation and acceptance, and people go around. They call it all kinds of things. They have a nice facade about it and how they present themselves, but you become a beggar in that. You just look for affection and love from the outside. Someone to tell you that you're enough. that you're good. In essence, that you can be as you are. Love is not a grand gesture. It doesn't need big words. It's just a full acceptance of what is. To see someone and accept them as they are. All their flaws, all their things. There's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing that needs to be fixed in actuality. It is just the acceptance of how we are. All the expressions, all the things. Your pride, your shame, your sorrow, everything. And what you're looking for is here. What you're looking for is you. If you, instead of just regarding the external, start to look inside, recognizing the experience of the body and this whole experience, what we might call consciousness. You start to have a different outlook. It changes everything fundamentally. And you're always free to do whatever you want with what I say. You're not forced to follow my pointers. You're not forced to follow me in any way. Actually, the most beautiful thing you can do is just listen to these words and find out. And if you find that freedom and beauty inside and don't feel like coming anymore, then I'm very, very happy.
The part of my brain that interprets that like, oh, the right thing to do is not to come. Always trying to find
the... Many years ago, I was working with homeless people And also for that organization, we had that same goal. And we talked about that many times because it's so strange to have that goal. We wanted no one to come. We wanted no one to need our services anymore. That was the whole purpose of what we did. And it's a beauty in that, in a sense. A self-destructing community, self-imploding.
And it's a good analogy.
Can you talk, because Ulle is here on the stream and he can't hear. We have a mic in the room, Ulle, so yes, so you can also hear what the other said.
Hi, Ulla. It's just chat, really. But I was just like, yeah, and it's a good analogy as well, because like in my interactions with homeless communities, it's also like there's really something that binds you together, where you found each other in this desperate place. Now you're gonna stay in this bad place together, but it's the only thing you have, and it reinforces your identity through this place. And then it can be hard to actually leave that place.
And I liked very much, I've said this before, but it's worth saying again. The teacher Papaji, he said sometimes they asked him, but why don't you start an ashram? You have such a large following. And he said, no, I don't want to. I want this place to be like an airport. I just want people to come and lift. And I find that very beautiful. Is there any questions today?
Yes. So, most of my sort of adult life, I felt very far away from being in this room and sort of inherently broken. And I have had like a wonderful journey that has led me to experiencing a sort of cessation of separation and feeling inherently whole and inherently complete. And ever since that moment, I put back on the clothes of who is Luke Montgomery Smith, but I didn't put them. You know, before I was wearing like a trench coat, and since then I put on a linen suit or something. And I still have the clothes and much of the pain and the suffering, but it feels lighter. And if you hold it up to the light, you might see some through or something. And which is amazing, and it's like progress. And then sort of stagnation for a period, and then I came to like really take. I listened to the words that you just said, but before you sort of said them, of just like looking at life inventory and being like, what are you doing, and what do you think is making you happy? And I realized that I was focusing on sort of my own perception of what I thought other people thought of me or what I should be doing, and and it's led me to recently part from a company that I helped to build and still technically operate, and like I'm in a really liminal phase in my life where I'm sort of like, no, let's just focus on, I've experienced this sort of glimpses, and through non-dual meditation, I am able to find rare, 4 or 5 repeat glimpses of that cessation of separation. But I'm in the sort of, I sort of a bit stuck in a thing of just like, it's sort of becoming, I'm not obsessed with it, it's the wrong term, but it's just like, I want more, and sort of, so it's like I sort of drawn to retreat from other things and spend more time in meditation, more time in solitude. And however, to other people who identify with me strongly, I'm a father and I'm a husband and like a householder, and it's sort of, how does one, I don't know, what do I do about that?
It's already happening as it should happen. And I know that these worlds can feel like the world of responsibilities and your role in all that, and your longing for spirituality can feel like they're not really compatible. But they are much more than you think, because one usually propels the other. It shows you also that when you're at peace, it's much easier to be with your family. The trust is built much more, relationships become better. Everyone is suddenly nicer because you're no longer triggered. And the more space that is in you, then you have space to listen. Then you have space to relate. Then your eyes might be clear of the trance of identity for a while, and you can just see your children as they are, not what you project on them. All these things. So much freedom. This is why I say this is the most fundamental thing that you can do. It is to be with yourself as you are. I understand completely that it's not easy. I understand that you have to wrestle with all your ideas of what the world is, what happiness is, what it is to be a good parent or husband, or all these things. But fundamentally, all the space you can find to be with that sattvic essence that you are, and that you can invite it, is beautiful, and it opens for so much quality of life. So many people look back on their life and they say, I just worked too much, I just distracted myself too much, I just ran away from things too much. And if you can live the opposite of that, to be honest with your life, to confront things as they are, to sit with yourself when no one can check you, and you still just allow instead of running away. It's a beautiful thing. I understand that your spiritual longing can feel like I would like just to throw myself into the ocean and become a wave. But maybe you have to just swim some more. To see it. It's fine. There's no rush. And when the longing has awakened, it is already done in a way. You can in times even feel like you're turning away from it, but it will just pull you back again. That spark is ignited. There's already a fire burning for that.
And I really feel that fire, and I think
Yes.
you use the term sort of almost impossible, that we find it almost impossible to think that we may be able to accept the present moment, and I now feel it as highly improbable as opposed to almost impossible. I think, and I already noticed within me the benefits that you were talking about of just being more present with my children, with my wife, and the challenge that I find hardest, and almost the thing that like it's almost heartbreaking to say out loud, but it is just this like loving myself as sort of as much as my wife and kids love me, as much as I do love me, but I just don't feel it. And it's this I have just like,
Yes.
how can I deepen the practice to
Yes.
like find that?
But the difficult thing with the self-love is that you might have all kinds of ideas of how to think more positive, how to be better with yourself in 1,000 ways. But if you're going to be super honest with it, it is that you have to find that you are the source of love. Because you will still think of it as a thing that is lacking in your life, that is needed from someone else, or that it's needed from you to give to you. And the more you come into beingness, you will see that you are the source of that. And it is very practical, that seeing. It's just the spaciousness that is needed, and then it just naturally comes. And you just feel so much gratitude and so much love, so you don't know what to do with it. It's just overwhelming. And you will question all kinds of things in that. Am I worthy of all this love? All the ideas of the identity gets flushed out. And you just see that you are the source of that. That is real self-love. Not standing in front of the mirror and say, you are okay to be loved. That is just a strategy to try to make you feel better.
I did go through that phase though.
Yeah, it's very common. Yes.
As I interpret your response here about love and being the source of love, do I understand correctly that what you imply is to, like, if you have an awareness that you love someone or that person loves oneself, can be like a step into the realization that there isn't really any difference.
Yes.
Like, but that it's convenient to have this perspective first, like the dualistic realization that it feels like there is someone loving the other one and that person loving oneself back, for example. And from there, try to fall back and realize that it is technically an illusion and
Yes.
there is only this love in.
Yes. You just project your own love onto others and see the love in their eyes. Even when it comes to your children, or it can feel so pure in that, because it is in a sense. But there is still the duality of the idea that you are someone and they are somehow perhaps the source. But so it is very much a non-dual recognition that you realize that you are the source of love.
And how important do you think it is to have this like dualistic understanding of the world to begin with in order to reach this non-dual awareness? I'm thinking, for example, for all the people who don't have anyone who loves them. Like, do you need to go through this dualistic, like to first be mindful that love is important?
It's very difficult to talk in general like that, because people have very different experiences. And most people have some sense of love. It might be quite skewed, or it might be completely romanticized, or just that it's just relationship love. But there is a sense of it, at least to all people that I have met. There might be people who have not felt that at all, but I can't remind myself of someone who have talked like that. But I think that the challenges you have, and when you feel yourself being dual, with the whole experience. You feel like a victim, you feel exposed in ways, or all these things. They usually just help you. Because then it's really, then there is some motivation to look elsewhere. And this is usually really good. So people in crisis are much more likely to take on meditation than people that feel that everything is okay and they're very comfortable. They don't want to challenge the status quo. But if you're already challenged, it's fine, usually. So what I have seen with people who come is that they're usually many people are highly sensitive, so they have to, when they relate to their world, they just get overwhelmed a lot. Those people seem to be much more likely to be interested in meditation, or people that go through big crises. That's what I have seen in general. But I don't think that you need something specific. And what also creates, if we would call it for like a spiritual maturity, how ready you are to hear these things seem to vary a lot. And some people just seem naturally very, very ready. When they hear it the first time, they're like, oh, finally. Someone who's not bullshitting me, who's talking in a way I can understand. These kind of reliefs. I don't know if I answered your question exactly.
Yeah, I think you did. So you, from your experience, most people, whether they realize or not, like actually have this a bit enhanced sense of duality as a way into the non-dual perspective, or at least they use that to get some idea of where to look for the path to non-duality. So it seems quite rare from your experience that people would go straight from like to spontaneously get this non-dualistic view, or
and that also happens. I also met people who think that they have some. They thought at first that they had some mental problem because they lose their dual perspective for a while. I remember one man who told me that he was at Willys supermarket and was looking at some beans, and suddenly his reality shifted. There was no difference between him and what he was looking at, and he went to the psychiatric ward to get this fixed, and much later he understood that he had a spiritual. He started to read about spiritual experience, and this is what I experienced. But there's so little conversation in our society about those things. So people get spontaneous awakening experiences, but they don't know what it is. So they start to become put on medication, and yes, all these things, which in some cases they should absolutely not be. They could just have someone who have experience of these things to talk to them. So there is a great variety, and I'm sure that all the people who are here, there are so different stories of what is the factor that makes you open up to these things. And for some, you have just opened the door a little bit, and it's just a little bit curious, and for others it feels like, I have found it. Thank you. That variety is also, and how you feel about it. There's great variety in people. And I know that this can be confusing sometimes, because someone asks a question and I might say the opposite to two people in my advice to them, because they have such different approach to what they're doing. So the best here is also just, you will notice sometimes when someone asks a question that certain questions just makes your ear really, really big. You really want to listen because that is my question. Like that.
For how, like, for how long at a time do you think it's generally possible to be in this non-dualistic state, like experientially? Difficult question.
In general,
because I assume it has been hard when we were cavemen to be completely non-dual, like we maybe for evolution.
Okay, yes. Also in the context that how our society works and how information flows, just 100 years ago, just to hear about non-duality or Vedanta or Zen or some of the non-dual traditions was not that easy to come by. It was possible if you're really interested and was really looking, but you wouldn't just happen to it because you were a little bit interested in spirituality on Instagram and you saw some reel about it. that kind of information flow is so new. So the accessibility is very, very big nowadays. But that also shows that doesn't mean that people are more ready. There's just more people that completely misunderstand what it is, and all these kind of things happen with it when it's so accessible. And it also, many of the older traditions were like, they could talk to you and say, you're not ready for this. But here, now, anyone can come, anyone can listen to this. Some people are in shock after they heard me the first time, and that's also fine, and maybe it takes time for them to digest it, and they come back 2 years later and like, oh, now it finally clicked. It was too much at once. But what was your question?
Yes, so I'm thinking that there is a reason that people at some kind of baseline have a dualistic understanding of existence. Yes. And as cavemen, if we didn't realize there was a difference in some way between ourselves and the lion.
So people probably moved much more between a dual state and a non-dual state naturally, because also people who have spent a lot of time in nature or not disturbed seem to also be much more okay with doing nothing, and that to most people that are very heavy on information, they seem to have much more difficulty with that. So it's also, but also think about the type of society, the kind of ideas what happiness is. You're bombarded with like 1,000 ideas. How you should look, how your body should be, how you should groom yourself, how you should present yourself, what things you should be interested in to be an interesting person. All these things just, they're not spoken as this will make you happy, but look at me, I'm very successful and I'm like this. That whatever those ideal might be, you would project onto that, and then you try to become that. And the great thing with question these things is that you can give up some of them so easily. Some of the things that you believe this is not interesting. Why am I so taken by this? Why do I think this matters? And the mere questioning of it just dissolves it. So it's a very good thing to contemplate on, because we carry so much of it. And the more you look into your non-dual nature, the more obvious it is that nothing is needed. You're not going anywhere. You don't have to become something to feel whole. Your nature is in accepting the present moment as it is. That is your challenge, not becoming something. Yes. Send Rebecca the microphone.
I was interested in you talking about everyone having different ways in to this path, whatever you want to call it. And I noticed that already today. Like, it just also feels really good to be in person, I think, but it just really touched my heart, the subjects of today. And as my mind is also processing, I notice that I'm thinking like, my way in feels very clear, that it's through not feeling loved as a child, or from my father especially, and then finding already fairly young age, like Buddhism and these things that kind of point me back to myself. But the things that really move me in the emotions is really, I feel like it's when I'm going to church, I can feel the feeling, or when you are speaking sometimes these things, where it's like, I really believe the person saying this thing, that you are worthy of love. I really believe they believe it. It doesn't have to be personal to me like this, but the preacher or whoever is speaking, I really feel in them, they really believe that about me. And I feel like my own child parts of me that are still dominating my life is like really hearing it, like learning something that would have been nice to have learned as a child, to really just feel in that. When you speak about this, to be this ocean of love, it moves me so much. I'm like, oh, that's all I want. Like, that's just all I want. And I suppose where I get the trying to track the exact angle of it then is like, for me, how what did I want to say there? Sometimes I notice a doubt in my own motivation for the spiritual path because it feels very non-dual, or I'm like, I just need a man in a position of some sort of loving authority to say that you are all worthy of love, and I believe it. Like, I just need that loving kind of figure who is not wanting anything from me, who is, I don't need to be anything to them, and yet I'm still loved. But I notice how I can get very, very on the whole spiritual, like, and very into this non-dual, all, these things. And sometimes I doubt, like, my own motivation. So I was curious to hear you speak about this isn't in, or where are you even trying to go? And the only thing is important really is love, and then dissolving.
And it's a very good thing that you're talking about here. I think many people feel like that. It also can feel like when you found like the teaching that just resonates with you, and you find a teacher that really resonates with you, and you just feel like, I'm just going to be here. This is perfect. That's why I say that my goal with having you here is that you should not come. Because it's very easy to collect people like that.
Yeah.
So suddenly all your followers, all they want, they like you as a person and what you give to them, and the kind of. But I want you to see what I see. I want you to reflect that. I don't want you to be dependent on me.
Yeah.
And I understand that that is unavoidable in
Yeah.
this. We get dependent on each other. That's how it works. And when you feel lost, you feel like, I really want to go with Satsang, and I really want to meet Markus Atmananda again, and I will ask this question, or I will just sit in that silence and feel okay again. But to me, that is not the point of this.
Yes. I worked with children in a förskola, preschool, and I noticed how with some, there was a child that came into me. I worked in the kitchen, and then I wasn't her teacher or anything. She just came in because she was really upset and had nowhere else to go, and it was just silence, and she just ran into my arms, and I just held her and just let her cry, and she was like, whoa, for quite a while, and then just all of a sudden she was like, and went away because she had received just complete acceptance. Yeah, just cry. It's okay.
Yes.
That feels very healthy to me. And I think that release can happen in me when there isn't so much of the attachment dynamic.
Yes. Because there's always, as soon as there is a too strong sense of attachment, there's also a tension in that, because then you're afraid of losing that person. And I've been asked so many times how I feel.
But is that okay for a while? Like when you have a parent?
Yes, it is okay for a while. And also, it might even be necessary for a while. And I think that is the part of going to a teacher. When I went to my guru, I felt the same. I went there for 4 months, and then I felt like I just want to go back as soon as I can again. I'm not done. So it was just home in Sweden and just waiting to go again, because I felt like I have to continue this. I'm not done with Swami. And at the end of that second, it was done for me. And now he's always, as I always say, he's always with me. I said, but don't you want to see him? You haven't seen him in 8 years. He's always with me. He's here all the time. I see him always. Because to me, that is what he is. He is that awareness. It's not personal.
Yeah.
But he is the symbol of that. You could have a symbol of Shiva, you can have a symbol of whatever, Dattatreya, whatever you like. But to me, it's just a face that is awareness. And this is the most beautiful thing. But then, so it's just a realization that that is what it is. And it's also fine to feel like I really need this now. This has to show me something. It has something to show me. And I have no idea how long that will take. There is no time on that. And at first, perhaps you like my words. And after a while, I just like the stillness of it. There is that quality. I enjoy that. And you start to enjoy that. And you're more connected to that. And for me, that I'm not trying to talk to your mind here, ever. I don't want to fill your mind with a philosophical idea about meditation or ideas about how you should live your life or what it is. And all you would do is like intellectually ponder it. If I in any way touch your heart and you can see that beauty inside yourself, you can see that gratitude and you can see some of that love, or you just start to feel very spacious and open with it, that is the thing.
Cool.
And I also say very lovingly about my guru that one of his best qualities is that he wanted nothing from me.
Yeah.
He wasn't collecting me, or he didn't want money from me, or nothing like that. He was quite uninterested in me. And also very, very loving in that, in how we met, and he really challenged me when it was needed, but so few words. It's very, very simple. And the few things that he spoke to me directly and gave me advice, they stay with me forever. Him walking on the roof, as we always did before our sessions, our satsangs, and he was eating pizza for the first time.
Hell yeah.
Krishna had bought pizza, and he was given a slice of pizza. So he was walking back and forth, eating a slice of pizza. And I come up to the roof, and I walk towards him, and I say, Swami, do you like it? He says, very tasty, but not real. And then he continues walking. And I understand to most people that would be utter nonsense, that he would say such a strange thing. But to me, he just said, yes, things are beautiful, they have all these flavors and tastes and things, but reality is awareness. So from that standpoint, this phenomena is just another phenomena coming and going. There's so much teaching in Swami saying, very tasty, but not real. This short sentence encapsulates his whole view. And I find those things very, very beautiful. But there just is the need for the maturity to be able to hear it. So that takes time sometimes. First you hear the words, you might like it, or you might not like it. But it doesn't matter. Something in you gets churned by it, gets moved by it. And suddenly you come to a point where, these words mean something now. They change their meaning. They become something else. And at some point, you're not even interested in the words. All you care about is the silence. Like when I met Swami the first time, I just, he's completely silent. I want to be here. Such simple things. So when I say that the practice at first is very complicated, because the mind has to relate with everything. It has to have an idea, is this for me? And your identity will say, do I really fit in like a person who's interested in meditation? And da, da, da. You have all this, perhaps a whole identity crisis with it. And after a while, you understand it has nothing to do with that. It doesn't matter at all. And even if
And would you say that relates to, because when you said that, I felt like, I feel like I have an emotional crisis or emotional opening when I hear these things about like becoming ocean. Like it just moves me in such a fundamental way that I can't control. I feel like, I come and I get an emotional crisis. Not crisis, but then after a while, maybe it doesn't mean so much.
No, but
it's the same.
It's also that the things that you in the beginning find very spectacular, that the ego drops for a while, and you just see the non-dual nature of things, and suddenly, like all the bliss and the love of that in the beginning, it could just be super overwhelming, and you just think, wow, this is the big break, and the mind makes all kinds of things of that. And when you're more used to it, and that is just normal, then you're not making such a fuss about it. But the experience might be very much the same. The bliss is the same, the love is the same, but the ego is not making a big thing about it every time, because it's just normal. Oh, super presence, bliss, happiness, all these things.
Worthy of love.
For no reason. Worthy of love, for no reason.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. We should sing something, I think. We always end with singing a bhajan, a mantra or two. On my piece of paper I've made some notes, and it says next to the Om Namah Shivaya, it says celebration of stillness. I think that is very much what we think of stillness as also something that is just locked or absence or nothingness. But actually the stillness in us is full of dance and joy, playfulness. It's where everything comes from. It's the beauty that gives possibility to all things. Another word for just beingness. And I think most of you know this one. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namah. May everyone find peace, the inherent peace that is in this moment. May everyone be free from the suffering of discontentment and striving, and rest in the light of beingness itself. Om Shanti Shanti.